So today I'm going to be showing a pretty simple but cool trick to get a really interesting source out of iZotope RX's declip. We're going to be using it in a very non-conventional way. So just to start off, I'm going to show you the source that I'll be working with. Here's just some synth stuff I made. So pretty cool already, but we're just going to repurpose this to make something else. Here's some sine sweeps going through a reverb. Here's some bass drops from one of the boom libraries. And then here's some just rock crumbling. Now, to be totally honest, the source for this declip type of stuff doesn't matter that much as long as it just has some motion to it, and you'll get pretty cool results nonetheless. Of course, the results will be a little different, but the source itself doesn't actually influence the final sound all that much. So to start off, I will show you then the first thing that we're going to do is distort it so that we have something to declip, and we are going to distort it a lot. Here, first, we have the Reaper default event horizon clipper. So already pretty ham, and then we're just gonna distort it again using the Reaper distortion. Honestly, you could just mess around with different distortion types and see what you get. Basically, we just want to distort the sound just as hard as we can. Melda M saturator to distort it again. And then I have a limiter just to get the level back to a reasonable state. So very distorted, and that's what we want. So here's just the print of that. There's the rocks. And then, so the next step is to start declipping it, and things start to get pretty crazy pretty fast when you try to declip something that's so distorted. So to start off, I'll just leave it at 0. We're not getting too much in this case, but as soon as I start raising the declipping, you'll see things just start to get really weird. Once you get past a certain point, it doesn't make that much of a difference. But as you can see, we already just got something pretty dope by getting a sound that's just ridiculously distorted and running it through declip. So I'll just play back some of the other sounds as well. Some pretty cool glitchy stuff. And then what I'm doing here is just a little bit of cleanup, getting rid of some of the weird sub that sticks around after you declip, and then just toning down some of the really high end and some of the mid range. And then I'm using Boost. It's a maximizer to just boost the level of everything, especially the low level signals, to kind of even out the sound more. So this is already really cool, and we can use this. Honestly, the next steps are optional. So a lot of times what I'll do with these is I will go in and I'll declick it very aggressively just to kind of focus more on the tonality and less on the clicky, noisy bits, just because I find it's easier to use the sound like that. So here's just declick. Yeah, so it has also gotten a lot quieter, which was why we're gonna EQ and then just boost it again to bring the level back up. And you'll see the tonality now becomes kind of the main focus, and we don't get as much of the clicky stuff. So one thing I recommend when using declick is to use the multiband algorithm. I personally find that for this specific type of extreme declicking, the multiband algorithm tends to work a little bit better and not have as much obvious pumping. So the very last thing I'll do, again, this is now we're kind of going into the optional territory. I'll oftentimes just put a little bit of denoising. This looks pretty aggressive, but the level is actually very low, and I've just kind of EQ'd the curve to focus on getting rid of the lows and the low mid range, and then just a little bit of soothe to tone down some of the artifacts that stick out really aggressively. That's the final sound, you know. So we're done, and these are already really cool. So you can go in and you can start pitching them around and get really interesting stuff. You can do a lot with these, right? So I might take this one and pitch it, and then also maybe add a little bit of like a modulation to the pitch. But yeah, so this is how you get these kind of synthy, almost scream-like textures out of declip. Last but not least, similar to my previous video, I just decided to make a cinematic hit kind of sound, taking advantage of these synth screams. One thing, they don't tend to work very well by themselves. I find that they work very well as a sort of sweetener or a supplement to another sound to give it this sort of creepy, slightly evil texture or just kind of interesting motion in the tonality. You know, it sounds very, very strange and foreign. Like the sound you would never hear it in nature. It's a very unique kind of texture that you get out of it. So here's just a kind of generic hit, and I'm kind of focused on kind of an electricity sci-fi kind of thing. And then I'm going to supplement it with the declip source. So here is the declip source isolated. So pretty cool already. So that's just the declip source, and then I've just done a little bit of processing to it just to kind of EQ some distortion, and then some pitch modulation to just fit better the arc of this hit, and then blending that in. So yeah, and that with that compared to the previous hit, we get something that's a lot more kind of evil and dark sounding. But yeah, I hope you have fun experimenting with these techniques. Like I mentioned, I think my favorite places to use this would be like electricity or dark magic kind of stuff. Yeah, let me know if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.